Welcome back to Rod's Radios. In my recent video, I mentioned that the radio I was looking at was one of a haul of 7 that I secured at an auction for the princely sum of €80. And someone in one of the comments mentioned that they'd like to see what the other radios looked like. So here's a glance today at the Magnificent 7. Number 1 is the Bush Model P53 from 1946. This was the radio featured in the last video, and as you can see, it's completed now. It's been repaired and restored, so it's looking pretty chipper. And I liked it because, first of all, it's a massively big radio. It's a giant. But secondly, it has this very unusual feature here of a disc around the top, which lights up in conjunction with the shortwave tuning band. And the idea was that it allowed you to log the stations if you were interested in listening to lots of shortwave, because on the shortwave band, most of the stations are crammed up close to one another. So this was to allow you to differentiate between them by each little segment lighting up as you tuned around. And I presumed you would take a notice of the particular position of the light that shone through these little slits. I'm not sure how practical it was, but anyway, it was an unusual feature on this radio. Secondly, we had, as well as the waveband buttons, a series of 4 preset push buttons that would allow you to individually tune to your 4 favorite stations. So quite an interesting radio. And round the back, I hope you can see, it's probably a little bit dark, but this was, being an early 1940s radio, it had the larger valves or tubes. However, it had a very big speaker as well, which means that the sound from this radio is really nice. So that's number 1, the Bush P53. Number 2, another Bush, this one the P74. I'm not sure what era this is from. I haven't got a date for it, but it looks like something around the early 1950s. It has had some work done to it. I know this grill cloth has obviously been replaced. This looks a lot cleaner than it should be. The rest of the cabinet is pretty scruffy. Now, all these radios in the list are AM radios. There's no FM radios, unfortunately, so their use is rather limited. But this one might be worth restoring. The cabinet definitely needs some work done. And round the back, I can see that all the valves are present, so that's a good sign. This, I imagine, would be good for restoration. It has a nice big speaker. So that one is number 2. And just looking at the front, it has 3 wave bands, at least, no more. It has 8 wave bands, in fact, long, medium, and 6 shortwave bands. So that's one for the shortwave enthusiasts. Number 3, this one is a Pi Type 19A, and this one hails from 1948. It has quite an attractive smooth cabinet on it, mahogany cabinet, and again an AM radio with long wave, medium wave, and 1, 2, 3 shortwave bands. Around the back, again, this has the older type valves, the large valves. It's a 4 valve set with ECH35, EF59, I think, EBL31, and an AZ31. So that's an unusual lineup, but again, it looks in one piece, and that one certainly would be worth having a look at. Next patient, please. This is number 4. It's a Pilot Little Maestro from 1951, and what a little cutie it is. It has 2 wave bands, just long wave and medium wave. Unfortunately, one of the knobs is not in very good condition, and there's a certain amount of evidence of woodworm which needs to be treated. But this one looks very smart, or could look very smart. Around the back, I can see that there are actually 2 valves missing from this, which is a pity. But with a little bit of work and research, maybe this one would be a very smart little radio to restore. It has a very nice ferrite rod aerial in the back, which will make it more sensitive again than the usual radios that rely on long wires. So this one is definitely worth doing. Number 5, another heavyweight monster, this one. It's a HMV Model 1119 from 1947. And again, an interesting radio because it split the dials on either side of the center speaker grille, which is made of metal. It again is an AM radio, long wave, medium wave, and one short wave right across the whole band. And again, a little bit unusual for its time in that it has these push button selectors which allow you preset your favorite stations and select them by just pressing a button. The cabinet is in reasonable condition, although a lot of the paintwork is scratched, but anyway, that can be restored. And in around the back, we can see that, again, a fine big radio with the very large valves. I do have the other valves for this, which I've taken out to check. One of them looks a little bit weak, but again, maybe a radio worth doing. A little bit unusual in that it has the wave change switch on the back and the speaker switch from external and internal options also on the back. So another interesting one that could be a future project. Number 6, a Bosch BI21 from 1955. So this is the youngest radio of the lot, and it looks a little bit more modern than the other ones I showed you. But again, it's an AM radio with long wave, medium wave, and one short wave. However, it does have a gram switch on it, which is handy, and that could provide an opportunity to put a Bluetooth unit into it if that was possible. But quite a smart looking radio. It's in good nick. All it needs really is to be cleaned up. And in around the back, I can see that it has the rim lock 8-pin valves, which were popular during this era. And they're all complete. So this is definitely a project for someone worth doing. It may not be me because I have enough radios at the moment, but a very smart looking Bosch radio. And finally, number 7, a Phillips BF493A. From what era, I'm not sure, but it looks like an early 1950s one to me. Again, like the other radios in this series, they're all AM radios. This one has long wave, medium wave, and 3 shortwave bands. The cabinet is showing signs of wear and tear, all right, and it has this rather odd looking speaker cloth that someone has replaced during its lifetime. And in around the back, sadly, we can see on this one, all the valves are missing. So this is going to be a major project. I don't think I'll be taking this one on. If I don't, I'll just scrap it for spare parts, which could come in useful. But anyway, that is number 7, one of the Magnificent 7. So that's it for the Magnificent 7. This video was a little bit different from those that I normally do, but I hope you found it slightly interesting. And if you have been, thanks for watching.